Hey guys, Levergun Bum, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, if you're returning, thanks for coming back. Today I'm talking about how to iron with duct tape or duct tape or 100-mile-an-hour tape or whatever they call it these days. This is a military grade or industrial grade type tape originally developed for clothing applications and later adapted to HVAC systems and military applications like gluing pieces of airplanes together and even spacecraft apparently. So you can use duct tape to mend pieces of garments or kit or whatever it is you're using out there in the bush country setting or work setting or military setting. I first came upon this technique in my years of working search and rescue. I found that a lot of people in the search and rescue scene, particularly in the Western United States, were in the habit of using duct tape with an iron to melt the duct tape onto their jackets. And then over time, months, years, some people's jackets would get so full of duct tape, it was almost like the jacket was made of duct tape and not the jacket itself. And they would wear these jackets on scene as a badge of pride, as a badge of service, etc. So we'll take a close look at this jacket here. This Airpack jacket is a long-term companion of mine and is about to be retired. I've come to find this winter working out in the southwestern United States that it's a little lacking as far as effective insulation anymore. The wrist cuffs are absolutely shattered and allow cold air to come right up the sleeves and give me a good freezing every morning. So I'm kind of switching jackets right now. It's nice to have an old beater jacket or any piece of apparel or garment you can call your friend that's been to hell and back with you. And the other thing is when it gets all scuffed up and messed up and dirty, etc., you don't really care about it. So that's a nice feature to have. This jacket has been patched up for years using the technique I'm about to share with you. I will do some detailed photography here to demonstrate that. There's 4 things you need to utilize this technique. You need the garment itself, obviously. You need an iron, duct tape, and you need electricity. I picked up this roll years ago. Like duct tape or industrial duct tape anywhere, it's a cloth or scrim back polyethylene substance, polyethylene type plastic, so it can melt. And it's got a cloth backing. I'll open up that shortly so we can look at it. Looking closely here, you get a detail of why duct tape, EB green tape, 100-mile-an-hour tape, or whatever we're calling it, is so effective for patchwork, because it's actually got a cloth woven into it. And with that polyethylene or basically plasticized surface, it's also water repellent and or waterproof. Of course, you're going to need yourself an iron. Any iron will work. The one thing you want to make sure is that you can get an iron that's got not very hot and not very cool setting, so that you're going to want to melt, basically make that tape pliable, but you're not going to want to melt it to the point of creating a disaster. As you guys can probably see, the roll of tape that I'm using today is much lighter in appearance than the tape that was previously put on this jacket. I'm going to guess this is the same tape, and this is years and years and years old, and it's darkened with age. And guys, I'm talking like, this has got to be a decade old. I live and work in very warm climates, so winter is a very short event for me, thank goodness. I don't pull jackets out a whole lot, so I basically wear them a few months a year, like 2 or 3 months. So this gets worn out over time as the years accrue. Otherwise, this is in really good condition. And if you look here at the left sleeve, jacket left, you can kind of see the wear and tear that's gone on here and how well this is hold on. By the way, laundered multiple times. And if we go on the back side here, got a little patch down here. So Snugpak calls this material Paratex. Paratex is a proprietary name for basically a nylon or polyester. It is almost like, I don't know if it'll come out on the camera, this is almost like a micro ripstop. So when you get holes in this kind of material, or let's say you're wearing an American polycotton or nylon cotton ripstop, you're really not going to get holes, but still you don't want holes forming in your gear, right? Especially if you're operating in cold weather or going to be exposed to cold weather. You want to keep your insulation in there. So I've got a small hole here. This is the one we're going to patch up for this video, or at least the one I'm aware of right now. Key to note that before you do this, the first thing we're going to do is if you've got a dirty garment, you want to go ahead and launder it, because you don't want your tape, which is like tape anywhere, has got its adhesive side. You don't want your tape bonding to filth and dirt. So we're going to go ahead and launder this jacket and take a little pause in the video. You want to make sure that wherever that hole is, get the dirt out of there. Get it as clean as you can. Put your detergent or your shout or whatever it is directly onto the dirt site. So you're going to encourage a very strong adhesive. Here's the hole that I'm going to deal with. In and around the area where you melt that duct tape on. Okay guys, so here it is. This is all clean and laundered, ready to go. Big dirt patch that was here yesterday, gone. And my hole, at least the hole I'm aware of right now, along the wrist cuff here, is going to be ready to receive some duct tape. Okay guys, so here's the setup. I got a small table, portable table, got the iron, got the duct tape, got the jacket. On your iron, there's going to be a couple settings on these things, obviously, depending upon your make and model. On this model, you've got acrylic, which is a type of thermoplastic, as is polyethylene, which is what this tape is made out of. It's a plastic, essentially. And I'm going to put this on the plastic setting so I don't overmelt the plastic. But if I need more heat, I can push this up towards silk, rayon, etc. You start getting up beyond that, you're going to get into some temperatures that are going to turn your polyethylene duct tape into mush. So we'll experiment a little bit with that, and you'll need to as well find out what works best for you based on the type of tape that you're using. Okay guys, so I'm going to open up my jacket to that affected area, and let's make sure the jacket doesn't fall off this little table. I hope you guys can see that. Okay, here's our problem child, our little hole forming, trying to form. Again, not doing too great a job. This melted probably next to a campfire is how that hole formed, is what it looks like. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut a little piece of tape to cover that. And the beauty of using this duct tape is that it's got adhesive on it. So it holds itself onto the area that needs to be dealt with. We're going to try to smooth that out as much as we can. And obviously this is nice and clean now. Oh, there's another hole over there. Ow, that iron's hot. Okay, I've got two holes to deal with. Little hole just popped up over here. So I'll go ahead. I'm just going to eyeball this, approximate it, take a square off. Always got my shears on me and all my gear. So, oh, it's all hay and crap falling out. That's the life. That is the rural life. And I'm gonna cut off a sufficient piece here. And I hope that camera's catching this. I hope it is. Oh, not gonna have that scrim hanging out like that. Let me snip that off. And I'm gonna smooth this out and smush that on. I'm not using any other form of adhesive or fixative or anything like that. Just putting that tape right on there. So here's our square. And I'm using some pressure from my fingers to smush that tape on. Now I'm going to go ahead on just about the lowest setting here and apply my iron. And that seems to be hot enough. In fact, I can feel this tape trying to adhere to the iron. So I don't want to go too much hotter than this. I just want a little more heat. So I'm going to turn this up slightly. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Turn it up a couple notches. Let me warm up. Okay, that light is off. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of smush this on with the iron. I'm not ironing per se. I'm using the weight of the iron and this motion to mash that tape on. And what you want to look for is a sort of fusing of the edge of that tape, and it will give you a sense that it's melting onto the fabric, melting onto the nylon or whatever this Paratex is. I'm going to do that a few more times. Might even bump this up another notch or two. I'm up to the silk level now. The light comes on, indicating that this is heating up. We're going to give it a moment. You can take a look at how that tape is sort of fusing onto the Paratex fabric. Again, this will work with any nylon jacket you have. Looks like this edge is still popping up, so I'm going to use a little more heat on that iron and try to smush these edges down. Now on this silk setting, this is too hot because this tape wants to literally adhere to the iron. It wants to melt onto the iron. I'm getting that sense. But whoops, see what happened there? Too hot. Too hot. I got to go back down towards acrylic. Let this thing cool off. Dang it. Dang it. That's all right. Again, this is a real field jacket. Not something I'm terribly concerned about at this point. It's lived its life and it lived it well. So this does not have to be perfect. We're not going out on the town with this thing, but you also don't want this crap on your iron if possible. Try to get that off of there. Ugh. All right. Oh, I got some old water in there. That's nice. Well, the water will steam up, get this even hotter. All right, we're going back to acrylic. Guys, this is really mushed on. I'm not so concerned cosmetically. This is not appealing, but the hole was over here and the hole's covered. That's what I'm concerned about. So the degree I use this jacket anymore, it's a real field jacket. So if it gets mud, grease, and crap on it, powder residue, and campfire burns, I'm not too concerned. So not going to win any fashion awards for this, but still functional because that hole fundamentally got covered up. Too hot. That iron got too hot. Since I'm out here and I just discovered this little hole over here, I'm going to cut off another piece of tape and deal with this one. You're going to use a larger piece of tape than is necessary to seal this up because you want to make sure this tape has enough purchase on the cloth on either side of the hole. And again, I'm going to mash this down. You know, I got to wonder if this was a tape I used earlier or not. As I showed you on yesterday's footage, the original tape on here is very dark in color. I could have sworn this was the same roll from years ago, but this tape over here really matches quite nicely the jacket. Irony of irony. I wasn't even trying to do that. Here we go again. Smush this in. On this particular make and model of iron, the acrylic setting is where you want to be. Acrylic being a family of plastics, thermoplastics, hydrocarbon based, as is polyethylene, though I believe they are different families of plastics. Man, that's a good color match. I think the advanced heat does help it get really smushed into that fabric. The tape smushed into the shell here, the nylon shell. But I don't want to go too much hotter because it doesn't take much to melt this tape down and make a mess. I don't want this tab sticking up there. You really want to smush those edges down. I'm going to have to go up a little bit in heat. Got my light on so I know it's heating up again. Oh, already that was too hot. Tore that plastic cover off. Dang it. All right, sweet spots in there somewhere. Oh, too hot, man. I got to go back down the acrylic. Oh, guys, I wish this wasn't happening. I gave all these warnings about making the iron too hot. But anyway, that hole is sealed too. First time I've ever filmed this, and I screw up like I never have before. Unbelievable. I could go ahead and cover it up with another piece of tape, but I really don't care. It covered up those holes, and that's what I want to do. Okay, guys, so this has been Ironing with Duct Tape with your host, Levergun Bum. It's been a few years since I've done this, and I'm a little embarrassed here. I did not have super clean outcome. However, I have an effective outcome. I've got now waterproof hole covering hair patches on what were 2 holes on this right sleeve. I hope you got something out of this, and if you did, hey, like and subscribe. And if you didn't, don't like and never watch again. Your call. But as always, remember, God bless you and God bless America.